Hi everyone, this is the second episode of Open Minded. In today's conversation, we talk about manifesting ideas and hitting your goals, exploring how difficult times change you and help you develop as a person, and improving yourself to be in a better position to help others. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and find some value from this episode. Manifesting your dreams.
Manifesting your dream.
So I just looked up. I don't know what I looked up. Something about manifesting your ideas. Let's just have a look at this. One of these things. Visualize living your dreams with feeling.
Yeah. Like actually putting yourself in that situation.
That completely changed my life. Did I ever tell you about that when I thought about what it would feel like to be my idea of successful?
Yeah.
I basically imagine myself being in this place of feeling content and feeling happy and feeling like I'd been successful. And I kind of imagined myself in that position and looked back to where I was, say, at 23, and kind of tried to think, what did I do to get to this place? And the first thing that came into my head was stop smoking weed, started hanging around with people who are motivated and have aspirations and big goals. And in my head, it actually felt like I'd already overcome the difficult things needed to do that. And I already felt like I was successful. And I think within a few days, I'd completely stopped smoking weed and just never done it since.
Yeah. That's just it was a massive thing for me as well. Because it makes things a lot easier as well. Because you're like, okay, all those feelings of doubt, and it's like, no, there is a way for me to get there. And actually when you really put yourself there, it's almost like the feelings of kind of come over you of what it's like of actually having it and being there. And
yeah, it makes it familiar. It doesn't seem far away.
Yeah.
If you can actually if you can properly imagine yourself being happy and successful, you've realized that feeling. And it doesn't seem like a foreign thing now. It doesn't. And for me, it didn't feel like there was like a chasm between me and where I wanted to be. I felt like I was there.
Yeah.
And I felt like the way I was actually acting at 23, 22, whatever, was not what led me to that. And it made it so easy to stop. It made it like, all right, cool, I need to stop smoking weed. I need to eat healthier. I need to fucking hang around with better-minded people.
Yeah. I think the hanging around with better-minded people, that is the hardest thing, I think. Because when you're in that group,
they're your friends.
They're your friends, obviously, and people say, "Oh, you need to stop hanging around with these people." Like, if you want to get further in life, you need to stop hanging around with these people. They're bringing you back, and you kind of know it in your head, but it's like, I've got no other mates. Like, and where do I go to find these people? Like,
it is very difficult when I remember that when I was kind of stopping drinking, and I was hanging about with like Jed and Bill and a group of people, and I was thinking, if I stop drinking, I'm not going to see any of these, like, this is all we do.
Yeah.
Like, I'm never going to see my mates. And I stopped drinking for like 2 weeks at one point, and I didn't see anyone. And now it's been 4 months.
It's been a bit of a blessing, me and you linking
We've
back.
been doing it at the same time. That has actually been, that's been really good, actually.
Yeah. Because I was on that.
I feel like if I did it, I'd be letting you down.
Yeah.
Even if I had a coffee, I feel like I'm letting John down. Do you know what I mean? He's fucking come this far, and I'm just letting him down if I just have a coffee. My next one is sugar, though. Sugar.
I'm literally talking about this with my mum today. I've been having sugar-free syrup when I have my coffees.
Yeah.
Yeah. No more sugar.
Yeah, no more sugar.
Obviously, some things you can't help, but when you're having it in high doses like that in the syrup, just switch to no sugar.
Should we have a look through
sugar-free.
this? I've got like 15 ways to manifest your desires. Should we just talk about each of them?
Yeah, go through.
This is a really good one. Feel good now. Instead of putting your happiness on hold until you create the life you want, learn to feel good and appreciate your life now.
That's one of the biggest things that I've learned.
I fucking love my life now. I feel great now.
But even when you kind of don't, look around the room like every night and just think and go through in your head all the things that you're grateful for.
That's actually number one on this.
It's just that one thing there.
Adopt an attitude of gratitude.
Just that one thing
nice.
Will change your life.
Yeah.
That was what I started.
What is that? What does being grateful look like to you?
First of all, it was my belief in God. I don't really like saying God, but we'll say it in that context. The universe, just having something to be grateful to was a big thing to me, because I'm like, what am I being? I'm just being thankful for what? To who? To what? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you wanted the substance.
Having that there and just being so grateful. I remember like talking to my mum and on the phone, and I just started bawling my eyes out because I was in a place where I was so grateful and I realized everything that I had. And it was like I was brought to tears from how grateful I was. Like to have the family that I do, like to have a bed to sleep in at night, to like have a go to the tap and be able to get some water, and have a car, and just all the small things that you do every day. Just go through all of it, because there's people who don't have any of that.
I feel like I had to go without to understand what I had. I really did. Just when, and this is what makes me a lot more grateful now, is going without, and it makes me a lot more empathetic of other people's situations when they're not as comfortable. For example, for a while, all I needed was somewhere to live and something to eat. If I had that, cool, I can get on with the next day and I can try and work something out. If you don't have something to eat and you don't have something to sleep, that's like poverty. Genuine, like a level of poverty.
Yeah.
And obviously there are a lot of people who have got it completely different to the way we do. You know, like the poverty in the UK is like how kings lived in Europe a few hundred years ago. Just like you can actually compare the two of, you know, so the poverty that would have existed in those times would have been tenfold of what we call that poverty today.
But even just going to different countries, like I was hearing a refugee story the other day on a podcast, and she was kind of saying like it was better to be living here homeless than it was to live there with a home. And it's like,
really,
it's like,
what country was that?
I can't remember no, I can't remember, sorry, but even like that's the thing, that's another thing I wanted to get across. Like no matter what situation you're in, you've always got something to be grateful for. So don't think, oh, like I can't do that because I don't. Like you do. That you will always, there's always someone out there who's like worse off than you.
Yeah. So in here it actually says, it's quite funny that you mentioned the universe and you were looking for something to like be grateful to and things. It says, when you're living in a state of gratitude and appreciation for all of the blessings in your life, you're sending a clear signal to the universe that you have everything that you desire. This in turn will attract more of your desires into life because the world is a reflection of you.
Yeah, exactly. So like when you already like, it's like saying, oh, it's like starting off the day like, oh fuck's sake, don't want to go to work, shit, I hate work. You're putting that negative energy out to the universe, so what you're going to get out of the day is going to be negative. If you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm so grateful for this day, I've got a chance today to like do something, make a change, and you put that positive energy out to the world and that love, like I try and send, like I imagine my energy sending out love to everyone.
Yeah.
Even if I feel like I don't like them, I send my love out to them because I feel like that's a different that's a different conversation anyway. But I just feel like when you give that energy out, you'll get that back in return.
Yeah, and it applies to actually so many things as well. Of give and get back type thing.
Give and you will receive. The Secret says that.
The next thing it goes into is kind of what I was saying about visualizing it. So spend 5 minutes a day visualizing yourself living your dream life in as much detail as possible. Where are you? Who are you with? What are you doing? What can you see, smell, hear, taste, or touch? Focus on the sensations and feelings and make them as real as possible. For me, doing that and seeing what it felt like was probably the biggest change like that I felt in my life, from being just like moping around
Day
for
to day.
years, just smoking weed and not doing anything.
Stuck in a rut.
In a rut for years. That when I visualized it and thought about how it felt, completely changed it for me. And what would it feel like to be there? It made me feel like I was already there because I could feel it. If how I'm looking at my success, even so, if I'm looking at how does it feel to be successful and I can feel it now, then I feel successful.
Yeah.
And then actually the next thing it talks about here is creating a new identity for yourself. And imagine for a moment that you already had what you desire. How would you act? How would you talk, think, feel, dress, and make decisions? Create a clear picture of you 2.0 and act as if you are this person throughout your day until it becomes your natural state of being. I've never read this, but that is literally what I did.
Yeah.
And I've kind of had a hard time of like articulating that, but that is it.
Yeah. That's a funny one because like I've had this thought about this situation for a while. I think when you really deep down, when you do bits of meditation and things, I just have this belief that we already have the answers. I have this belief that like when you look deep into yourself, you already have the answers to these questions. You just have to listen. Obviously there's things along the way that can help you, but I come to a lot of these conclusions by myself of like things that were right to do, and you know what I mean? It just took books like The Secret to sort of cement it for me. Like, okay, people have already thought of this shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you're left long enough to contemplate things, you will come to a lot of conclusions that someone else has. But if you're kind of caught up in day to day and you're stressed and you've got a lot going on, like, you got to remember that a lot of people genuinely cannot see beyond next week, and they think about their life as the things that people say about them, or how many people ask them if they're okay when they feel like shit. Like, a lot of people, they get really upset that people haven't asked them if they're okay when they've kind of been putting that out. And people say things like that to me all the time. Like, yeah, my friends haven't even asked me if I'm okay. And I see people talk up like, there's a girl I've got on Snapchat. She's always talking about that. she's always like, oh, should I do this to my hair? Should I do that to my hair? I've been in such a shit mood. Like these people in this city are just different to where I'm from. I've felt like this for ages and no one's even asked me if I'm okay. How long does it take to send that message? A lot of people haven't, they're still looking for outside validation to try and take them to the next stage.
Yeah.
But it's an individual journey. And it's nasty to say, but misery loves company. People who are like that, they want to attract people like them.
Yeah.
And they'll just all get together and they'll all just be miserable. And it does happen. And it's fucking nasty to see. And they're the kind of people who I've had to distance myself from.
Yeah. It always gets like that towards the end of a night of a drinking session as well, in the kitchen or whatever. Everyone who's like, but that's the reason why people drink, innit? Or they're there at 6 a.m. because they feel shit about something. So everyone finds themselves having that deep chat at the end of the night of things, that their problems and the reasons why they're miserable. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it always fucking comes up like that, doesn't it?
But yeah, just be gratitude, man. It's just it. Get yourself out of that rut. That is the hardest thing, though, breaking the rut. Because as soon as you break it, like for a few weeks, you're out, and you can start seeing that future.
This is such a good article. I'm gonna fucking
put that
share
up.
this.
Yeah. You put it up with the pod.
Yeah, 100%. This let go of attachment to outcomes. That is much easier said than done.
Yeah. Because when you put so much like thought into a way that a situation's gonna go, when it doesn't go that way, it's like I had this all patterned out.
Cultivate an open mind and an unwavering sense of trust in the own unfolding of your dreams. This is the thing about just our lives. You can't control the outcome. So you can't get too attached. And my dad used to always say, so basically, I don't remember what the saying was exactly, but he'd always say, just expect the worst. Prepare for the worst. Not like expect the best, but prepare for the worst.
Yeah.
And I always do that. I always just expect the best, but I'm prepared for the worst. Like, to have a contingency is important, just because things don't necessarily always go your way, and situations change. The like nuances of situations change your perspective of them, and if you become too attached to it, it's just gonna be a shambles. Like the people who say, "Should I do this to my hair?" and like they genuinely care about. They genuinely care about that.
But the thing is, though,
they need to come into themselves and actually just like.
I think
the next part says follow your intuition. Just do whatever you think feels right. Why does it matter what other people think?
But that's the thing. I think they just want an opinion. They've already chose what color they're gonna have their hair, no matter what.
It's outside validation.
It's just like they're crying for attention, basically.
It's not attention. It's validation, which is obviously a form of attention. But I used to do that a lot when I was anxious about, for example, money. I'd be like, right, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this. Like, I don't know, I can't think of who does that a lot, but I experience people doing that a lot, and I'm just like, just chill. Like,
yeah, relax.
I know what you're going through. You just want, sometimes you need to just talk things out, to like spell it out, to kind of work out your game plan for it. And then when people kind of talk you through their plans, like in detail of, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. They're more like spelling it out for themselves, but they're kind of doing it just for that nod. to be like, yeah, that sounds good. And yeah, I mean, that works for some people. I've kind of stopped doing that a bit, but I was doing that a lot when I was anxious about money.
When you get this funny thing of money, because it's you kind of think you don't want everything to be about money, but the being comfortable, that's what it's about, isn't it? And when you don't feel comfortable, you're like what you say, your brain doesn't work right.
Yeah.
So when you're not comfortable, you act irrationally and everything.
You're in survival mode.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was trying to get at. But
survival mode is completely different. And like Nipsey Hussle talks a bit about that, and he's like, you know, when your ribs are like poking through, like you're gonna act differently to someone who's fucking chilling. And this is something which, this is actually a big topic that I think a lot of people who I was friends with before I went into a sort of downward place, is they look down on you when you're like that, but they've never been in that position, so they don't understand it.
Yeah.
And this is why, like, having seen both sides of the wheel, a good bit, a bad bit, and the journey in between them, it gives you a different perspective, and you're able to show more empathy to people who are not in the best of situations.
Yeah.
But the other day, I don't know if I told you, but I gave a homeless guy a tenner.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And I was just like, mate, there were days where a tenner would have fucking changed my week. I remember like trying to get money when I was in Brighton, fucking ringing everyone trying to get money. And I just saw this guy, and I like walked past him, and I thought, I'd been kind of thinking about it. I was like, I want to give a homeless person or someone I see some money, but not just like 2 quid, 3 quid, like just chuck them a tenner. Like, I've never just given a random person a tenner before. How many people have?
Yeah, I think I've given quite a bit out, to be fair. 20 quids and that. Mostly when I'm steaming, though.
Yeah, I've seen people do that when they're steaming, but
not when I'm sober.
I kind of walked past.
Sorry, no, I did. There was one time there was a guy selling these big issues.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to give that guy 20 quid. And like, he's out here doing bits, innit? Like, he's
people
actually
that are doing the big issue do deserve it, because
like he's actually out here fucking
that thing of making that first step to making a change is the most important thing, of like realizing that you've got some issue and actually taking the steps to sort it out. You know, because there's like a guy who comes around here sometimes, that he's been in jail for most of his life. He's addicted to heroin, he's addicted to crack, he's does spice if he can't get it. He wants to get off of it, but they don't give you the medication.
Yeah.
They'll give you it for a week, and then you got to wait 3 days.
Because they don't want you to get off it.
Well, that's another thing. But he started selling the big issue, and I haven't seen him around, but if I do, I will give him 20 quid, because he has to go out and he has to buy them for like £1 each, and he'll go out, or £3 each, or there's something, but he has to buy them. The fact that he's gone out and he spent his money on that instead of drugs, and he's out there trying to sell them.
Yeah.
I mean, what they fucking do with the money is
I
their
didn't
problem.
give a fuck. That's what I mean. Like,
it's their problem.
You're actually out here trying to do something, trying to make some money, not just begging.
I've gone in and bought food for people a few times, but just the point I'm getting to, right, is I always feel like when I start to think about kind of conceptual problems of that there are people who exist who don't have everything, what can be done for those people, when those are the kind of things that occupy my mind, I know that I'm good because I'm not thinking about myself.
Yeah.
I've like those boxes are ticked off.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking of
You're
like
on the
what
different...
can be done to fucking sort out the other people who aren't in that position.
Yeah.
And
It was
like
amazing.
just that alone for me in what I want to do is like a good step.
Yeah.
And then being able to afford to give someone £10. And like I not that I can fucking judge a book by its cover, but like I just watched him for like a minute and I could see that he was just like, he was not having a good day.
Yeah.
He was not having a good day. And I just thought, well, mate, you've come to Winchester. You were expecting someone to give you some money. Here you go. And he was just like, he just said thanks like 100 times. And yeah, it's like a nice feeling, but I was just, I felt more good that I was able to do it rather than like the praise that he was trying to give me for doing it. I felt more good that like I'd reached the point of being able to do that.
Yeah.
Rather than like I've kind of got to the point where it's like, fuck it, just take the tenner.
Yeah.
Like I'm just gonna spend it on shit anyway. So you may as well have it. But yeah, mate, there were days obviously where fucking £10 was like the dream. Like fuck me, if I can just get a tenner.
Yeah. Just a bit of food.
Nicking bread rolls in the middle. Or like, oh, it's a whole nother thing, but like,
you've got to be there, haven't you?
But this is the thing where you have to.
You've got to go through shit.
This is what I was saying. Like I didn't know what I had until it wasn't there anymore.
I don't think I can trust anyone who hasn't been through shit.
I know because they're not like fully developed.
Yeah.
They're. And I did actually stop hanging about with people because they're still like babies. They could go home. And I remember working with people and I'm just like, listen, mate, you're not in the same predicament. If I'm working with someone, we're business partners, we're trying to make this business work. He can just go home to his mum's house where he lives.
Yeah.
Doesn't pay any rent, doesn't pay for food, nothing. If I don't make money, mate, I haven't got somewhere to live and I haven't got something to eat. So it has to happen. Like I don't care how it happens, it just has to happen. Like I do not give a fuck how it happens at all. It just has to fucking happen.
Yeah.
And they don't understand that like it has to happen.
Yeah, there
is no ifs or buts. Like it's happening.
Yeah. And I'm finding that money no matter how fucking...
Yeah. And this is the difference when people haven't had experienced adversity. They're a completely different person. And when they do, you can always see the difference in people. And I love to see that. Like, yeah, it's not nice that they had to go through some shit. But I remember like dealing with my mate Lewis. And he was just in such a shit situation. Got kicked out of his house. He's staying at his mate's house. He's staying at his mate's nan's house. She kicks him out. He's fucking ended up here. He's staying in his brother's room. Like, all just a nightmare. And I just remember saying to him, like, I wish I was you. And he was like, what? He was like, well, how can you even say that? He's like, you've got like all your own shit. You're doing all right. Like, how can you say you want to be me? And I was like, it's like the journey is the most exciting bit. And like, you're in the shit younger than when I was. Yeah. So you're going to learn everything younger than when I did.
Yeah.
And by the time you get to my age, you're going to be fucking way ahead.
Yeah.
I was like, and he was like, oh. And he still doesn't really get it. He still hasn't, like, I don't know what needs to happen to him for him to really feel it. And, you know, I've done all sorts for him. Like I paid for his gym membership last month. I've gone and done food shops for him. I got him a job here. I gave him jobs fucking cleaning. Like, all sorts. And even though I was the person doing that for him and I know that he's not in the best of ways, I still would switch places with him because he's younger and like he's going through it. And maybe I wouldn't like to go back to what he knows now but if I knew what I know now,
Oh
and I
yeah.
went back to that situation, like if I go to 0 in half an hour, I'll know exactly what to do. It just doesn't matter. I've been to 0 so many times. It's just like, fuck it, I'm ready, and it's like exciting to me.
0 is it's a tricky one.
0's scary though.
Not so. It's not so. It's scary. It's scary for me. So I couldn't even imagine what 0 is for you.
Come close a couple of times.
Yeah.
But then when these things happen, you say, right, well, I overextended myself and I need to fucking not do that. And you like, I'm quite pedantic about the way when I'll spend money and how much and what percentage it is of what I've got, and like I don't like to spend more than 20% of what I've got in one transaction. Yeah. Whereas before, I'll spend fucking 90% of what I've got in one transaction and just fucking hope for the best.
Yeah.
So each of those things has made me what I'm like. Like, I kind of always say that going to Italy on my own it just made me a man. The amount of shit that I had to deal with was just ridiculous. Just because I didn't just go to Italy on my own. I fucking just packed a bag and went there with one-way ticket and just see how long I can last.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was nearly out of money in 2 months and I was like, oh, I've got like 800 quid. I need to come back. But the things that I went through and getting stuck in places with no phone, no internet, can't speak to anyone, the train, like, can you imagine being in Italy in like a random train station? No one speaks, you can't speak to anyone.
Yeah, that's
your phone's dead and the fucking like trains have stopped running. Like in Italy, you don't get on a bus and buy a ticket, yeah? You've got to buy it in the fucking cafe.
Yeah.
To like...
The cafe?
Yeah, so there's like a cafe. The cafe is also called a bar, right? So like a bar is called a cafe and a cafe is a coffee. So it's like, I'm already fucking like all over the place, right? And I'm like going to get on the bus. I'm like trying to give them money and they're like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean no, bro? Like, how are you saying no to me? And they're like telling me to fuck off basically. And then I kind of realized that everyone was queuing up at this cafe. And I like watched what they were doing, and they were just I watched that they were getting tickets and going onto the bus. And I was like, oh shit, they buy the tickets there.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember what it was specifically, but I couldn't get money out or something. And then I had to use a charger from one of the people that worked at the train station, had 1%. Oh, it was just a nightmare. Money was always a nightmare there, like, because I didn't understand what my withdrawal limits and minimum withdrawals and stuff were on this card I had. But anyway, that was like, it was like getting dark. My phone was dead. I didn't know where I was or how to get home. And I was just like, what the fuck am I going to do? Do I just live here now? like, do I just live at this fucking train station now? That was pretty fucking scary.
Yeah.
I've just been left in such random situations from doing that and traveling on my own.
Do you not think that, like...
But now I'm ready.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what happens to me. I'm just ready.
You know, like now you're here now. You were there in a situation where you thought, like, this is it. Like, how the fuck am I going to... But somehow you made your way back and you're here now. Like some way, like how did that happen? Like, like there was some luck involved in it.
Yeah, I mean,
like there was
the thing is that each of these things has like hardened me to be what I'm like now.
Don't you think that the journey, like this comes back to, for me, like there's like a reason for certain things, and it's like
I don't know about reason.
Do you not?
Nah, because
See,
you need to say that there's a reason for all of it. You need to for there to be a reason for this. The whole thing needs a reason.
But I think
and
that
the
journey
I can't see what
is the reason, and experience is the reason.
The journey is the point. I don't know what the reason is though. That's not an explanation. A reason is like an explanation. The point of this is the dance, like the journey of it, but it doesn't explain it.
I think that it's an experience. It's like watching a movie. That's what I feel like. I feel like you're meant to go through these certain things, and there's it's like obviously the most interactive fucking movie ever, but I just feel like there's something leading the way, and it's not just me.
I mean, there's definitely something going on. That's
what I mean. Like, you can't prove it, obviously, and there's no way of actually knowing. But for me, deep down, it kind of feels like that. Kind of feels like, it feels like I'm not really in control. Like, it makes me think that I am, but there's something that's not. But, but yeah, that's what I was just getting at. Like with that, you were there, and then somehow you're back here, like where you're meant to be. You were meant to go through that to be here.
One of the things on here was like asking for divine guidance. Your soul or higher self can see beyond what your physical self and rational mind can see. Surrender control and begin to pray and ask for guidance to move you in the direction of your goals and dreams. This was something which I kind of did.
Yeah, so
you can only describe it as like a prayer.
Yeah,
I don't.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, I didn't think of it as like, dear God, hello. Like
it was kind of like a beg.
It was no. My thing for me wasn't like, I need this. My thing was, I want to be able to go. I basically said that I'm willing to go through these trials and tribulations, these difficult things, in order to be able to, it sounds weird, but to be able to help other people. Because at the beginning of where I kind of look at this starting, when I was like 16 or 17, that's kind of when I look at when this journey I'm on now kind of began. Obviously it started earlier, but the way I think about it and what I've been thinking about, it kind of started then. So I kind of said that I'm ready to go through things if it means that I can help other people. And I know that I'm not done on that yet. So I know that there's still going to be a shitload of things which are going to be difficult. But at the end of it, I will have developed such a strong toolkit that I'll be able to just get on with things myself, be able to deal with almost any situation, but also be able to help guide people as well.
And I love that.
And I don't like think of myself as, because I'm able to help guide someone, that it makes me better than them, because it doesn't. It's like unrealistic to say that it doesn't make you any better. It just means that you've been through something they haven't.
Yeah.
You've got experience in it and they don't.
What about like when you're actually doing that? Do you feel like, I really hope that you don't think that I'm talking down to you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, always make that clear whenever I speak to people.
But
and I don't really go out of my way to try and talk
Yeah.
to people about it if they speak to me about it. And a lot of people do actually speak to me about different things like that.
Yeah.
And ask me, what should I do with this, or how should I go about this? People that kind of recognize that I may be able to help them. And I'm always like open to do that. Yeah, that's something else as well. But that wasn't really asking for divine guidance. It was more just along the lines of, I'm ready to go through the shit, but I need it to be able to allow me to help other people.
My experience with that is just feeling so helpless I suppose it doesn't really come under that category. Well, it kind of does, but not in the way that
Helpless how?
um
In what?
when my uncle was in hospital, when he was like he had COVID, obviously going through chemotherapy, and it was
Yeah.
like I can't like it was obviously in time of lockdown, and it was like I literally there's nothing that I can do here, and I literally just I just tried to manifest, wrote down in my book like just please Jeff to survive cancer and to survive COVID, and it was like a prayer, and that was I was just putting it out to the universe like there's nothing else I can do. This is like the only thing that I feel that I
Yeah.
can do. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's out of it now, and I don't really want to say that that I had anything to do with that, but it feels nice to know that I tried to do something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
But that's a funny thing with it as well. Like, did I? No, probably, maybe. I put it out to
Who
the
can say?
universe.
I think that was really good.
Yeah,
This was a nice little format.
yeah, I like this.
I think we should
Finding
just,
an article and going with it.
yeah. That was sick because we just kind of said beforehand. You said something like manifesting your ideas.
Yeah,
The only thing I'd probably add to it, I don't want to go on too much because the other camera's stopped, but this is what I was trying to talk about yesterday, is about being patient. I think people expect results on things too
too quickly. I'm full victim to that as well, because I want things by a certain date and I write a certain time, and it's like those things don't always come then, they come after, and it's just about not don't set a time, but then don't be annoyed that the fact that it hasn't come that time. Still go with the flow, and the time will come. And if you write by the end of the month, carry on writing until the end of the month, because it will happen by the end of next month.
I think things are like building blocks. I like the idea of this is something Nipsey Hussle said again, of laying one brick every day, and then you'll look up one day and you'll have a big wall. It's a marathon, and it's, a marathon is a bigger achievement. Like building a wall is a bigger achievement than laying one brick. So lots of small wins contributes to a big achievement.
Also, smaller wins are easier.
Well, yeah, they're easier, but they compound. Yeah.
Like, and it's not, it doesn't look so far away either. Like going towards a smaller goal.
You can do them. They're small steps. Like,
yeah.
I think a lot of people, this is another big thing with patience, is that people compare
themselves to other people.
Yeah, but they compare themselves in chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 26.
Yeah.
And that's like a big thing of Gary Vee.
And someone else might have started at 26. You know what I mean? Like their
Oh yeah, no, they started in a different position.
Yeah.
People, that's the thing. People's positioning was different. And they had a head start, and you're comparing yourself to people who had a different journey. Or have like developed in a different way. Maybe they developed earlier than you. Maybe they had a head start. Maybe they had funding. Maybe they had someone backing them. Maybe they had someone giving them really good advice, and their mindset is completely different to yours. You can't compare yourself to other people. You can only compare. You have to compete with yourself. You don't have to, but if you're going to compete, the only person you can compete with is yourself. You do one thing and you say, right, I want to do that better than that.
Yeah.
And because the only person you really know is yourself. But yeah, being patient, and sticking at things even though you don't get the fucking result straight away. Like even today, we were sat down here, we started recording, and like we paused. I felt a bit like tired, or I was a bit annoyed or whatever. But then we've come back to it and we've had this conversation, which was 100 times better than what we recorded earlier. Like in my opinion,
100%. Yeah,
so much better.
I felt so much better going into it as well. But maybe we needed that first little feeling a bit shit or whatever, and then coming away and then coming back a bit more fresh.
But the thing of not giving up when you don't get what you want immediately is a big thing. And understanding that good things take time, and things take a lot longer than people give the credit for. Like this business we just started, Jed was talking about that 9 months ago, and he thought it was going to take a month to set up. We've been working on it for 4 months, and it's only just got set up. Yeah. Things, even in business, different projects, they take 4 or 5 times longer.
Don't get annoyed about it. Like, don't get, oh, fuck's sake, we should have done this. Like, everything is working at its own speed. Like, don't get annoyed about it. Just say, this is how it is. This is how it's supposed to be. There's no other way that it can be. So don't put too much pressure on yourself when you're doing these things.
Yeah, the
like
pressure
with the
thing is
like
good.
us with this podcast. We've been talking about this for ages. We've done a few podcasts with different mic, and we didn't put too much pressure on it. It was like, it will happen when it happens. And you were like, I'm not in the right mindset. And I was like, that it will happen when it's meant to be. It's meant to be, and it will be so much better. We can't force these things. We can't force feeling a certain way, or because I think like a podcast, you do need to be in like the kind of right frame of mind, and but we're here now, and everything feels fucking good. Yeah. So everything will work out in the end. Just don't put too much pressure on yourself, but crack on as well.
That thing of everything will work itself out in the end, right? When my phone was dying when I was at that train station, I rang the guy who was like my host with the Airbnb, and I was like, mate, what should I do? Like, any chance you can come and get me? I don't think I'm that far away. And he said something in Italian, and then when I asked him, I was like, what did you say? And he said, I said everything would work itself out. It's like a saying they have.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking hell. And like, that was obviously after it had worked itself out and I was back at the house.
Yeah.
So, yeah, everything will work itself out.
But that's what my nan would always say to me, like, stop worrying. Everything's going to be fine. My uncles say that to me over and over again as well. Everything's going to be fine. There's literally nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
And that's probably a good place to end, I think.
Yeah. All right, cool. Until next time.
Sound.